Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This is the Edge of Liberty podcast.
Get ready for truth bombs, belly laughs, the kind of accent that turns car into a two-syllable adventure. Here's your host, Shaun.
I've said numerous times that when you listen to your own theme, you only usually hear about the first 2.5 minutes. It's really nice when you actually get to the far end of it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHI Media Network. It's the 23rd of March, 2026. Thank you so much for being here. Please do me a huge solid. Just like and subscribe. Like the episode. Subscribe to the network if you haven't done so. You can also, if you really, really appreciate what you see here, you can send super chats, and we'd appreciate that, or even become a member. Details are in the YouTube community page, and thank you to everybody that's liked, subscribed so far, and the few members that we have. Thank you. We're trying to build the network, and of course, money takes everything to build. So yeah, not afraid to ask about it, not afraid to mention. I got a lot to talk about this evening. Of course, we're going to talk about Iran, Diego Garcia, the whole 9 yards, and we will get to that. I have a couple other things I want to get to at the very, very end of the show, and of course, we're going to talk about the SAVE Act and yada, yada, yada. It's just, just a regular week here on the Edge of Liberty. The shutdown's going to get tapped as well. The Democrat shutdown. But first, I hate stories like this. There's a lot of stories that I don't like, but stories like this is definitely one of my least favorites, and that's when a very, very, very young flame among us is extinguished by somebody who shouldn't even be in this country. And I'm talking about Sheridan Gorman. And if you haven't heard the story, I'm not going to go through the whole catch up to date on everything. Go read about it. It's very, very tragic. This guy was just out being a college student, and a 25-year-old illegal from Venezuela shot and killed her. I have a letter from her family that I think is so on point, and I can't imagine being grieving as they are and writing something so clear, so direct, so poignant. And like I said, my heart goes out for them. I'm not going to start with it. I'm going to start just from the beginning, and I'll read through it. And this is from the Sheridan Gorman's family. We were again faced with the unbearable truth. Our daughter's life was taken, and our family will never be the same. Sheridan was at the heart of our family. She had a rare ability to bring people together, to make others feel included, understood, and loved. She lived with intention, with faith, and with kindness that defined who she was every single day. She was just beginning her journey with so much ahead of her. She was doing something entirely normal, walking with friends close to home in an area that she had every reason to feel safe. There was nothing unusual about her being there. I want you to remember this line. There was nothing that should have placed her in harm's way. This was not inevitable. This was a choice. And our daughter paid the price for it. We want to be clear. Sheridan did nothing wrong. She lived her life the way any young person should be able to live it, freely, safely, without fear. That was taken from her, and it was taken from us. Our daughter's life was not expendable. She should still be here. We recognize that an arraignment represents a formal step in the justice process, and we accept the work of law enforcement in bringing the case to this point. But for our family, this is not about a process. It is about accountability. It is about ensuring that Sheridan's life is not reduced to just another case moving through the system. This cannot become just another story that fades with time. Sheridan's life had meaning, her presence changed people, and her absence is something we will live with forever. We intend to make sure that her name, her story, and the impact of her life endure beyond this moment. There will come a time when we speak about more fully about Sheridan's life can continue to matter to this world. For now, our focus remains on honoring her, supporting one another, and seeing this through the process. And again, this was beyond tragedy. She was 18 years old. She was near the Toby Prince Beach Park, which is less than a mile from her campus, when the alleged suspect, Jose Medina, an illegal from Venezuela, shot her. The gunman wore black clothes and a black mask when he allegedly shot Gorman in the back on early Thursday, according to Chicago police. Witness described a nearby security camera showed shooter walk away with a distinct limp and a slow gait, according to the report. Cameras then caught Medina entering his apartment house on North Sheridan Road, and the building engineer identified him as a resident. Inside the apartment, police found clothing and shoes in Medina's apartment that appeared to match what the shooter was wearing. And they also found a .40 caliber handgun, which was consistent with the round that killed Sheridan. Medina had been previously apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol and released into the country, according to a Department of Homeland Security statement. That statement reads, Sheridan Gorman was filled by open border policies and sanctuary politicians who released this illegal alien twice before he carried out this murder. On May 9, 2023, Medina was apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol and released into the country under the Biden administration. He was released again on June 19th. They had him twice after being arrested for shoplifting in Chicago, which is weird because I didn't think ICE was in Chicago before then. But, well, I guess everything lied that they're suddenly there is now a scary presence. Every day, Department of Homeland Security law enforcement work to protect the American communities and prevent tragedies like this. Twice, the Democrats had him, the Biden administration had him, and twice he was released. This is not, I mean, I know what the family wrote, but this wasn't just, this is entirely avoidable. And look, many murders are avoidable, yes, but this guy shouldn't even have been in the country. This is the guy that they're chasing around ICE and protesting over to protect people like this. And they'll say they won't. Well, no, I don't mean him. I mean bad guys and not bad guys and families and kids. But at the end of the day, when you allow everybody a pass, this person, which we've talked about people like this numerous times, are the ones who make other people suffer. So when we talk about deportations in this country, we're talking about securing our borders. And I've said on this show numerous times, does that mean that everybody that came in illegally is a bad person? No. But when you have somebody who is, how do you know the difference in that hour or two that you're with them at the border? He was apprehended twice. They had him in custody twice. You don't. And when you're dealing with countries who don't keep records or don't share records or don't keep accurate records, you don't know who somebody is. And now an 18-year-old girl is dead in something that was entirely avoidable. So when people like me, this network, other hosts, we talk about securing the borders, and you immediately want to go crying about the kids and the mothers and they just want to pick your vegetables and why don't you want slave labor? Well, not only do I not want slave labor, but I don't want to import murderers. I don't want to import people who commit sexual assault. I don't want to import burglars. And they come in with the quote unquote good people. I've talked numerous times on the show, numerous fucking times on the show, about all the special interest aliens that were caught and released under the Biden administration, people with connections to terrorism that were caught and released. And we were told as a nation that all of these countries at that time were emptying out their prisons and institutions and pushing them north, giving them money to get them north, to get them the fuck out of their own country. And all of you liberals, all of you fucking progressive lunatic liberals, we love everybody. We want everybody until something like this happens. Then where are you? Where the fuck are you at that point? You're nowhere to be found. Renee Good. He should try to run over a cop. Alex Prouty armed, engaging law enforcement, trying to disrupt and commit crimes against law enforcement. You all show the fuck up for that, don't you? Press conferences. Where's all the fucking politicians on the left decrying this? Where's all the federal? Where's Ilhan Omar? Where's the mayor of Chicago? All those other airheads who show up when fucking people who put themselves in positions to be killed end up dead. And they want to say, this is the Gestapo, and this is this, and this is that, and they're fucking ripping people off the streets. Yeah, people like this. Granted, not every single arrest has been a felon. Yeah, of course. It's impossible. Because when you go to a house to get a felon and there's 5 other people in there who may not be felons, but they also have the detainers, they got to go too because you have to apply it equally, don't you? So where are you standing up for their family? You're nowhere to be fucking found. Once again. And I mentioned politicians. And of course, when those airheads on the left do open their mouths, yeah, I'm a little pissed off tonight. I'm unbelievably pissed off about this story. And I was already mad about this story, and I was already going to do this story. And I was already kind of just, you can tell, right? I mean, you guys know when I'm pissed. You've seen this enough. And I said to myself, where are the fucking leftist politicians, like I just said? And then I was reminded with this video I'm about to play why they don't say anything, because they just make it fucking worse.
All the time, right? And they go out on the pier, they walk around. So the kids were out doing normal things people do in the neighborhood. And it sounds like this might have been a wrong place, wrong time, running into a person who had a
wrong place, wrong time. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sheridan was in the wrong place at the wrong time, a mile from her campus, walking with her friends. But she's in the wrong place in the wrong time with the fucking illegal with the gun who shot her in the goddamn back is Johnny on the spot. He's okay. He was in the right place at the right time. Shut the fuck up. Just turn around and say, this is horrible and it shouldn't have happened. I've talked so many times on this show. I've given so many liberals advice as to what to say when your fucking policies bite you in the ass, or in this case, get an 18-year-old girl murdered. I've talked about it. I've told you, just make the typical gray political answer and move on. This is a tragedy. It should be investigated. I don't know if this is before or after the guy was in custody, but I hope they get the guy in custody, or I'm glad this guy is in custody, and hopefully her family gets justice. And at least then you don't make yourself a bigger moron than you already are. But no, this alderwoman from Chicago, I don't know her name. I don't give a shit what her name is. She's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Look at her fucking family in the face and tell me she's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tell them that. Pardon me. Canada Heavy Hall, I appreciate you being here. I know you get an early call, but thank you so much for being here. Phantom's in the chat. Thank you. Stanley's in chat. Thank you. The Phantom's in chat. I think I already said that, Shank. Thank you. Mission Ready Men. Boyd, thank you for being here. Listening Post, who was harassing me before the camera even went on. Thank you. And 02 AMT. Thank you. And thank you, the Phantom and O2, for moderating this evening. I greatly appreciate it. What's sad to me, and you guys all know this. Oh, by the way, that woman's name was Maria Hayden. That was the older woman who said that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. What's sad to me is this will not be the last time we talk about a story like this. This will not be the last time. And it certainly isn't the first time. And the Democrats, the progressives, nowhere to be found as always. And they're going to go, they'll go away on this story. They will 100% just disappear into the woodwork in the story, especially after this fucking moron alderman opened her mouth. They're not going to touch this story. Excuse me. But their policies absolutely caused it. I'm going to move on. Because I'm just going to get absolutely fucking more irritated. I want to talk a little bit about Iran. Operation Epidary. I want to talk a little bit about Diego Garcia. Now, before we were going into this conflict with Iran, the left and many people afterwards have said, well, they're not a direct threat to us. Why are we even get involved in this? Iran's not a direct threat. Look, I mean, the guy's not a great guy. I mean, he murders his own people. He throws gays off roofs and yada, yada. And he starves people and he, kills women who show shoulder and stuff like that. But I mean, what sort of a threat is it other than the terrorism and all the other strikes since 1979 and the assassinations and the murders and the funding of terrorism around the world? But what has this guy really done wrong? What is the Iranian leadership, the Islamic leadership there of Iran? What has he done wrong to deserve this? Because he can't hurt us. He can't hurt us. He doesn't have anything to hurt us or any real population outside of Israel. And of course, nobody gives a fuck if they bomb Israel on the left, right? Because they don't care about Israel or the other people around there, right? Which is why they got mad when Israel finally snapped on Gaza, which is why they got mad when Israel went after Hezbollah. Who gives a fuck about Israel, right? They don't have anything that can hurt the white people in Europe. And yeah, I'm actually going to say that. They don't have anything that's going to hurt anyone in the EU. So why are we even bothering this? They can't even hurt us. They can't even hurt Americans outside of a couple bases that we put around them. And, those are only soldiers. So the Democrats don't give a fuck about them either. But other than that, oh, and the 60% enriched uranium that we know of. But other than that, what's the problem with Iran? And if there's one thing we've learned from this administration, as much as Donald Trump runs his mouth about certain things, and yeah, I've shit on him for it too, he is an excellent card player because sometimes he holds things close to the vest. And I'm not saying he 100% knew about this. I'm not saying anybody had this intel anywhere, except for the fact that they had a ship protecting Diego Garcia. So, they probably had a good idea about these medium-range ballistic intercontinental missiles that were launched towards Diego Garcia. Now, the distance launched, the first one only went, I think it was about 1,900 nautical miles. The second one, from what we're told, and I'm sorry, kilometers. It was less than that. Oh, no, I was right. It was miles. I was reading another note. I apologize. Look, there's a lot of numbers in front of me tonight, okay? Give me a fucking break. The second one went 2,500 before it was taken out by a U.S. Navy warship in the using an SM-3 interceptor, and the base was protected. Now, amazingly, this has to... The UK, man, they just can't get out of their own fucking way because they didn't want anything involved with this. Oh, we're not going to do this. We're not going to help. We don't see the urgency in it, right? And then their base in Cyprus got hit, and it was like, well, I mean, we might throw up some air defense, but we didn't see this coming. And now Diego Garcia is a joint base with the U.S. and the U.K. So this is another base that they were on that were targeted by the Iranian regime, right? So, so now, of course, everybody, well, not everybody, because all the migrants in the UK are going to absolutely riot if the UK gets involved, and that's the whole reason why Keir Starmer won't get involved. But the rest of the people who are fairly normal in the UK are saying, well, maybe we should get involved, because now they can hit London. Now, their targeting may not have been perfect. You talk to anybody who's ever worked in and around those systems, targeting is the easiest thing to correct, because you don't even have to be entirely accurate if you have the numbers and the general location. That's not, I'm not an expert. I'm telling you what people who have told me. So you now have, well, London's in the in play now for Iran. Paris, Berlin, Rome, all of them are in play now. And I'm going to ask you the question, and I want you to ask yourself this. Do you think the United States kind of knew that? I'm going to say yes, probably. And I'm going to say that between satellite videos and tests that we've seen and yada, 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 that we probably had a good idea. Now, the U.S. wasn't the only person who thought that going into Iran was a good idea, and the same thing with Israel. On the Sunday shows yesterday, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, we'll say Rutte. I'm never good at names like it. I'm just not good at names. Appeared on news programs this weekend stating that the increased range of these missiles proved Trump and Israel were right to launch preemptive strikes as they did. Now, just a week ago and beyond, you had all the liberals and a lot of people in the EU saying NATO should get together with Russia and take on the U.S. NATO should kick the U.S. out of NATO, blah, 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 blah. NATO doesn't need the U.S. because what's the U.S. done for any of the NATO countries lately? Because we refuse to just pour thousands of millions and billions of dollars into the Ukraine when all of the European countries were doing next to nothing, right? And they hate us because we're telling them you kind of have to pay your own way. We're $34 trillion in debt. We can't really just fund everything all the time. You guys make a lot of money. You could put a little bit in defense. No, go fuck yourselves. You guys are horrible. How dare you not pay everything for us? And now, all of a sudden, when they say, oh shit, this actually could land in our backyard, this actually could hit school children in London, Paris, now all of a sudden these other countries are taking it more seriously. And the NATO Secretary General was like, hey, fuck it. Yeah, this is probably a good idea what Trump and Netanyahu ordered. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I saw earlier today, I don't have the video, I saw earlier today, Keir Starmer got absolutely slammed in some committee hearing today for not being war ready, because they apparently have sent, the UK is apparently, we've talked so much about how the UK, unfortunately, has let themselves go. Stanley in chat said, the Brits sold those sold to the Muslims, and we can no longer depend on them. I hate to say it, I agree. And when they do actually do something, they put a warship en route, I guess 6, 7, 8 days ago. And Starmer today, or I think it was Starmer today, or one of his defense ministers or whatever, couldn't say where the ship was, how soon it was going to be there, and if it was in service. And everyone asking him was saying, wait a minute. Like, we're supposed to have this quick response force for situations like this to add to defense. But the UK military has been so defanged from what it used to be. And again, I'm not talking about any of the UK military members. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about the leadership. You look at their naval numbers, it's in the dirt. You look at their subs, it's in the dirt. You look at any of their forward operating systems, financially, they're in dirt. They're just, you couldn't rely, even if everything else with the UK was great right now, we could not rely on them as a partner in a real conflict because they simply don't have the numbers to be effective and helpful. Again, not slamming the military members, I'm slamming the leadership of that country and what it's been for however many years. And I see Hagen Chat was talking about the Valero refinery explosion in Port Arthur, Texas. I haven't gotten any more information other than it happened. And I was just kind of waiting to see on that, but I'm glad you brought that up. So much for the 5-day pause. Lots happening tonight, says Hig Home. Yeah, over in the Middle East, a lot's happening tonight. Look, we don't even know who's running that country, to be completely honest. And that's the other thing. There's a huge power vacuum over there. And we know with a lot of these countries in the Middle East, when you get a power vacuum, there's almost as much fighting internally as there is externally, which benefits us in the moment. Nobody knows if Mojaba is actually alive or actually in control. A lot of people think, including the U.S. intelligence, that the president and the speaker of their whatever is running the country and dealing with the day-to-day chaos. The IRGC is doubling down with the best that they can. But I don't know. Like I said before, I don't know how long it could have. PJ in the chat. So I guess North Korea is next. Jeez. What the hell was the threat? Trump even said the U.S. adulterated. I think that's supposed to be obliterated. Iran. I have typos too. Nuke ability. So I guess there was another lie by Trump. Or we got more intel after the fact that said that they had more hidden in other places that we didn't know about at the time. It's amazing how you're so binary and you don't think that stuff like this is constantly evolving. That's the incredible part. But you're so caught in your orange man bad mentality. If North Korea is starting to say that they're going to bomb all the countries around them with nukes, which they're really not right now, they make a lot of North Korean threats. But here's the difference between North Korea and China. I'm sorry, North Korea and Iran. North Korea is like Putin, and I've said this before. It's run by a narcissist who doesn't want anything to happen to him. He's petrified. It's why his people actually like test his food for poison, and then if they die, he doesn't eat it. Just like Putin. It's a narcissism thing. He wants to be alive as long as possible. He wants to be in control for as long as possible, and they scare people around them in order to get anything that they can. But Kim Jong-un is not going to die for his cause. Not like all the people that he murders on a regular basis, right? However, when you look at the Ayatollahs, they believe that the Islamists should be the only people alive on the planet, and they will kill everybody else in an intifada. They'll kill the infidels, and they will take everybody with them because they are so religiously wrapped. They're so religiously wrapped into their ideology that they will absolutely kill themselves and everyone around them and be totally fine with it. That's where you don't understand how their ideology works versus a North Korea or a Putin or even a Xi. You don't understand how that works. This is how that works. And they're so... look, they don't constantly say death to America and then fund terrorism all over the Middle East, including against America in the past, because they're not afraid. They don't care about repercussions. They don't care if they all die, right? They believe in ruling over ash. And when you look at dictators like Kim Jong-un and Putin, they don't have that same ideology. It's all about protecting themselves. And that's where a lot of you on the left don't pay attention, and a lot of you liberals don't understand. You throw around dictator like it's nothing, but you don't understand the difference between the different types of personalities. There's a reason the Ayatollah was constantly funding Hamas and Hezbollah and the Yemenis and terrorism all over the world because they actually believe what they say. Death to America isn't just a fun chant for them. It's a goal. It's an ideology. There's a reason why they've called us the Great Satan for years. I will tell you right now, if I have somebody living up the street who says on a regular basis that he's going to find a way to kill you, I'm eventually going to take it seriously. And that's how we got here today. I'm up against a break. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. Even if you hate me, come back and yell at me. I don't care. It'd be awesome. Memberships are open if you want to be a member. And of course, you can go get some merch over at shrmedia.com. Be back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to the SHR Media Shop. This is not just merch, it is a statement. SHR Media is built as a rebellion against the mainstream. We deliver truth without a filter or permission. When you wear our gear, you are standing for liberty and unapologetic free thought. Every piece is a badge of support for independent journalism. Wear it loud, wear it proud. Support the mission and join the rebellion at the SHR Media web store.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp edge. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality. We fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch the Reaver in action. He is here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing is for sure, he always tells it like it is. The Reaver of Common Sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHI Media Network. Look, I'm not going to point out anyone specifically in the chat room, but if you are one of these people that works in one of these centers where they have 5,000 YouTube things open and then they just throw out random responses and you're like in a third world bunker somewhere, do me a favor. Just open up ChatGPT and ask for the English translation because it's pretty obvious. I know I'm a monster. I'm a monster, damn it. Oh, yeah. And then you see stuff like this and you just realize that I'm 100% right. Israel, whether you like it or not, is an actual nation. So ridiculous. That's the argument, like, when you start having these conversations, as soon as you see something like that, you realize you're just arguing with somebody's emotion and not with any sort of logic whatsoever. But I digress. Talking about the SAVE Act. Talking about from Boston, we already knew it. Yeah, I know. Listening Post, everybody knows it. It's not hard for me to hide, really. We're in the fifth week now of this partial governmental shutdown. That is specifically targeting the Department of Homeland Security, while most others were funded in January. And the Democrats have held the DHS hostage since the middle of February. Democrats, my favorite thing this week is, they've put forth like 7 bills that would have funded the TSA, and only partially. They won't fund ICE. They want to remove funding from ICE. ICE is already funded anyways. And this is, again, just like the last shutdown. This is, again, just stomping their feet and trying to win political points amongst their voters, voting bloc. This has nothing to do with reality. But that's what they say, and then you have all the liberals online. They've put together 7 bills, and the Republicans refuse to pass it. It's the Republican shutdown. No, it's not. It's their shutdown. And now we're to the point where Trump's not going to sign anything till the SAVE Act is signed. This is what happens. This is absolutely what happens when you turn around and you keep trying to push further and further and further. I don't know who that was to. Down this road of like digging your heels in and not wanting to run the country. You're digging your heels in. Now, I don't know if you saw Jersey Joe earlier. You played the CNN poll. The Democrats are underwater in their own party. Unfavorability is down at like 55%. They said that they had a lower CNN of all places said they had a lower approval rating than the Dead Sea. I say a lower approval rating than herpes. And this, as we saw with the last shutdown, this is not going to help them politically. They think because it's wrapped in ICE and defunding ICE that it's going to... No, you're already winning the people who are going to vote for you anyhow. You're not getting independence. You're not getting anything. This is going to backfire on them ridiculously. All of their bills exclude ICE and CBP funding. The border. I just told you the story about Sheridan at the top of the hour. Why funding the border is important. They don't give a shit about that whatsoever. And it's a tragedy because they would 100%, just based on what they're showing right now, they would 100% go back to open borders in this country like we saw in the Biden. That's what they want. That's what their goal is, because that's what the progressive left wants. They're all about, independents are 61% underwater. Thanks, Jersey Joe, in the chat. I appreciate it, bud. They don't realize that that's not connecting to the rest of the country. We're seeing the outcome on so many different levels on what open borders did. And it's just like the SAVE Act. This is what's crazy to me. The country elected Trump, whether you like Trump or not, the country elected Trump and Republicans. The border was one of the biggest issues. It's why Biden tried to do a 180 just before he dropped out. And all of a sudden put back all the stuff against the border that Trump had in place, that he got rid of it. I have a question. What's the difference between a leftist and a liberal? I'll tell you, Musha, I'll tell you. A traditional liberal, I'm talking Kennedy Democrat type liberal, they're usually still fiscally conservative. They still usually believe in borders. They still usually believe some sort of balance within the country. Yeah, they're a little bit more social welfare giving, but they're not for open borders. They weren't communists. The progressive left now is socialist communists. They want open borders. They're so bipolar because a lot of these socialist communist countries have and always will protect their borders staunchly because they don't want anybody infiltrating. But they're so locked into these ideologies that is what a leftist is. A liberal is a more traditional Democrat in my mind, a true liberal, where it's like, yeah, we can disagree on some of the social issues. I would tell you right now that I would say most modern liberals, or most classic liberals today, are probably more so libertarian where they still believe in closing the borders. They still believe in making sure that they're budgeting properly, et cetera, but they don't really care what people do inside their bedrooms or whatever, as long as it's not out in country or out in public. And I'm kind of the same way in that regard. I don't care what two people do behind a closed door, or three people and a gallon of motor oil and a donkey and a battery, car battery. I really don't care what they do, as long as they're not out doing it in the street, as long as they're not out having drag queen party hour for kids at the library, shit like that. Yeah, that's where I have my lines. That's where I have my issues, because you're now forcing it amongst the youth before they're old enough to actually be able to understand the decisions that their parents are trying to force them to make. Think about all the shit decisions you made as a kid, and they're trying to get you indoctrinated before you start thinking on your own. So those are the progressive leftists. But back to the SAVE Act. That was a good question, Musha. I appreciate it, bud. That was actually like a fair and even question. I wish a lot of chatters were like you, because I think that would be that's great. I like it when people actually ask intelligent questions, and it's pertinent to the conversation that's being had and not just throwing out random stuff. So I appreciate your question, pal. So now we're here with the SAVE Act, and I'm sorry, we're here with the partial closer. And you think all of these people who wait in lines at the airport are blaming anyone but the Democrats right now? And the Democrats, most of these people, it's getting late. I choked myself to death. That's not a good thing. Don't do that. Most of these people remember the last shutdown, and they know this shutdown is no different than the last shutdown. The Democrats are just trying to cause pain and then try to blame the Republicans. It's the game that they always play. Well, I don't see how long this is going to go for. And I'll tell you right now, you look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5 times that the Democrats have pulled stuff like this. 2026, DHS stand for it, right, as we're talking about now. The border betrayal in 2024, 2025. 2018, 2019, the 35-day standoff where they refused to build the wall. Again, open borders. Why? Before Mush asked me in the chat room why I think. Because they want redistricting in this country, and they need the bodies to do it, which is why they're against the deportation as well. I like it when somebody new shows up, and I'm able to repeat some of the same things I said to them and be able to do it for a good reason, and not just because, we all repeat ourselves when you have these shows. And then, of course, back to 95, 96, the Clinton era gamesmanship. And look, government shutdowns don't hurt anyone. You saw today, yesterday, Sunday, you saw Senator Kennedy try to put a resolution on the floor of the Senate that says, hey, no senators, or actually, they were just trying to get it into the committees, but no senator should be getting a paycheck during a shutdown. And you had one twerp, I forget where he was from, object and walk out like a little child. It's like, dude, I'll tell you right now, if you have two parties and one party's saying, we don't like this shutdown, we want to open it, we want to talk about the things we've already agreed upon anyhow and move forward with that, and we're not going to take a dollar until that happens, and the other party goes, no, I can't do that, this sucks, and walks out. Who's the grown-up in the room? Who's the grown-up in the room at that point? And everybody knows what the answer is. So we'll see. Hopefully something comes from it soon. I doubt it, because it's the leftists. It's the leftists. Another tragic story, and this is another one too. I'm so sick and tired, and I know I talk about social media all the time on this show. All the time on this show. About how the left on social media tries to run with so many stories right away before they wait for just a tidbit of information to come in. And then they look like full jackasses. I talk about the incident at LaGuardia last night where the Air Canada Express flight 8646 collided with our fire truck, airport fire truck on runway 1. I'm sorry, on runway 4 at LaGuardia. Tragically, the pilot and the co-pilot were killed, and 41 others were injured. And immediately the left wing tried to make this about budget cuts. And they tried to make it about, oh, well, Trump cut back at the FAA and staffing reasons, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, there are all these minimums. There were 34 people out of 37 full-timers that are fully staffed at LaGuardia. It's not an understaffed airport. The 3 openings, they have 8 people training to fill those 3 spots, which happens at any job, really. So they try to blame that. And then the audio recordings came out. And what the audio recordings don't catch, but what has been confirmed by other people, is just before all of this happens, there was a United Airline jet that had a rejected takeoff a couple minutes earlier on a different runway due to an odor in the cabin. So much so that the flight attendants were apparently getting sick. At that point, the LaGuardia Tower dispatched the fire department, the emergency medical side of the fire department, and the ARF side of the fire department out to that airplane that was stopped on the runway. As the jet was coming into land, the air traffic controller, who was in charge of the actual landing runway, the tower guy, cleared the jet to land, and a few seconds later, cleared the fire truck to cross the active runway. It was all within a few seconds. And why? Because they had an emergency on channel. There was a lot going on, and it was all happening very fast. This is an unfortunate tragedy that happens with public safety a lot. Things just start going. And when you're in the heat of the moment, sometimes you make mistakes. And based on the audio recording, it sounds like this poor controller, and I'm not saying he sucks. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him. I know he would not do this on purpose. I don't believe that he would. Made a mistake and cleared the fire truck to cross in front of the Air Canada jet. And then this happened tragically. Afterwards, if you listen to the air traffic controller moment, he actually admitted that he made a mistake. So I'm going to play the first part of the video. And this is the 29 seconds where he's talking about the Air Canada being able to land.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 1 and Company.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
Frontier 4195, stop there, please. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop.
So he realized his mistake almost immediately. He realized he cleared him. He realized he was about to go on the active runway and that there was a plane incoming. This is the audio that was taken after the incident. There was another pilot, it sounds like, on frequency who was trying to say to him, hey, you know, you did what you could.
Yeah, we got stuff in progress for that, man. That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff. We were dealing with an emergency earlier. I messed up.
No.
And it does sound like it was a legitimate mistake. But the problem is we've been programmed so much by social media to just come out and instantly say, oh, I've seen this, I've heard this, and I know everything there is about it right now. And I'm going to start blaming everybody until I wait to see what happens. And the reason like that is because all over the world, there are buildings like this. This just came out recently. It's called a YouTube farm, in which they push certain things and they don't push other things, and they try to make them more famous. And they do this for all sorts of social media. There are these farms that push narratives, that push videos that they want you to see, because if they're busy enough, or they get enough popularity, then they trend. And this video was taken, I think this was in Colombia, but it happens all over the world. Look at this room.
Meu Deus do céu, são centenas.
No YouTube, é uma fazenda de visualização.
Quem montou isso aqui gastou uma fortuna.
Precisa chamar o pessoal da inteligência agora.
O celular até o teto.
Parece uma colmeia.
But the ones who come in and they just throw out the same 4 sentences that all the bots throw out, and they don't have a regular name, and they usually have a couple of digits after their name because it's a burner account or it's not a full account. That's who you're arguing with online. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You don't have to like my opinion. That's fine. But when I'm telling you about something, I'm talking about something, you're welcome to do your own research and go to the source documents. I can't tell you how many times I have to say that. Go to the source documents and find out for yourself, and then start making your decision. And if we disagree, then that's totally cool. We're allowed to disagree. But don't get so caught in your hyper echo chamber of the same 5 or 6 facts and expect everyone to just go along with it. I've changed my opinion on a lot of things. I've been wrong before, and I've admitted it. And I'll be wrong again, and I'll admit it then too, right? I'm not here to try to persuade you necessarily one way or another. I'm here to talk about what's going on in the world and give you some honest analysis based on what I see. But by all means, I want you to do your research. If you're a regular listener on the show, this is the 4,000th time you've heard me say that. I want you to stop taking everything you see on social media as fact. I use social media all the time. But I don't take everything I see on there as fact from either side of the aisle, because I don't believe in that. Look, I know politicians are politicians. I know pundits are pundits. I know influencers are influencers. And all of them have an agenda. And a lot of time the agenda is themselves or what's going to make them the most money, right? Talk about politicians. There was a story that broke this week that there's the website APAC Watch, and somebody did a great breakdown on it, and I wish I had saved it, but I read through the whole article about how they pick and choose who they put on that watch list and how they pick and choose which people they target, even though there are plenty of other people that they don't target and that they support who get money from very, very similar PACs like APAC. But it just doesn't say APAC. One of them's like J Street or something like that. It's a huge giver, right? But they don't like to talk about that because that ruins the entire APAC narrative. And that's why I tell people, go, read it yourself, learn it yourself, and do a little bit of digging. Anyone can run in here. He's not been adjudicated as a pedophile. See, this is all BS. He was not adjudicated as such. That's how I know that you don't necessarily understand what you're talking about right there, because that did not happen. That's what you want to believe. That's what you emotionally want to happen, but that did not happen. You just proved my point right there because you did not read any of the cases. You didn't understand the law. You didn't take time to understand the law. You're literally proving my point, and I appreciate that for you. So other stories before I end up. I got 8 minutes to go. Senate actually confirmed Senator Mark Wayne Mullen as the new DHS secretary. The only Republican to vote against was Rand Paul, which he's an asshole, but we saw that coming. And 2 Democrats actually voted for him, Senator Martin Heinrich from New Mexico and Senator John Fetterman, which we kind of knew was going to as well. Another great
to the United States.
Zero self-awareness. Did you hear about these idiots? What's it? Piker, the streamer there, the influencer, and Code Pink that went down to Cuba, chartered their own plane, cost them probably $65,000, $70,000 because chartering a plane is not cheap. And they brought food and stuff themselves down with them for the people. And how much different does half a 737 of dried food going to do? Probably not much. But of course, this is all about virtue signaling. That's what they did. They also obviously were very politically motivated to fix things in that country because they went and stayed in a 5-star hotel. And I guess Piker, is it Hassan? I think his first name's Hassan. He's a douchebag. He was the one who was using the shock collar on his dog because his dog moved while he was on the air. Yeah. Listening post, you're 100% right. I don't know what I was thinking. A 37F does know better than me. Anyhow, he's an a-hole, and he went down there with this whole Code Pink thing, and then he went on air while he was there and had to say that he was forced to stay in a 5-star hotel while he was there. He was forced to stay in a 5-star hotel when he was there. And then they put out video of what the Cuban military, the Cuban government only allowed them to go. And they put them in these little, what are the things that you ride over at Universal Studios and stuff like that? The people movers, and drove them around to wherever they wanted them to see. And these people act like they're solving all the world's problems. And this is another one, like Greta Thunberg has been speaking about Cuba, like all of a sudden she knows what the fuck's going on. But listen to these people and you tell me if they're making a difference.
So we're returning from Cuba to the United States with heavy hearts because we've seen such conditions that people are living in where they have to figure out what they're going to feed their kids that day, how they're going to get to work.
All of this could end if the Cuban government just decided to do what the people of that island and that country want them to do, which is step down and have open elections. That's if that happened tomorrow, guess what? All of this goes away. That's what the Cuban people want. You talk to actual Cubans who have relatives there. They hate the government. They're not allowed to say it. The same reason why Hassan Piker was forced to stay in a 5-star hotel. Yes, because it makes it look good. All of the background videos that you're taking make it look good, and they can spy on you in that hotel. That's why you were forced to stay there, because that's what they do. Look, it's 40% of the public schools teachers. Oh, listen to post just one tonight. That was funnier than anything I could possibly think of saying this evening. So the virtue signaling from these people, and look, really what this was is, I want a free trip to Cuba. We have a nonprofit in which we bilk millions of people out of money. And we're going to charter this plane, and a whole bunch of us who are in charge are going to go to an island. And we know they're not going to treat us too much like shit because we're Americans and we have a social media platform. And if we disappeared, they know what would absolutely happen. Listening post, do you mind answering Boyd while I'm trying to move on, please? Because you said it. I will give you credit. Earlier today, I forget who the chatter was. He brought up the Valero explosion in Port Arthur, Texas. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of video from that. This is... Stanley in the chat says, this is a product of socialism and communism, folks. Cuba is a great example. Yeah, no, keep showing us how failed socialism and communism is by all stretch. Oh, God. But yeah, I don't know. And I said earlier, we don't know quite yet what led to that explosion in Texas. And until I know anything, I don't want to comment, but it's scary stuff. This story came out. If you don't follow Politabunny on the Foo, she put out this whole post about how easy it was for her to get her birth certificate, social security card, marriage license, and that it costs less than $20 in response to the SAVE Act, and why people who are acting like that women will never be able to vote again is a tremendous lie, and it is. And then this genius right here, Lars Hellberg, replied, and Lars just, where's Lars from? Anyhow, just out of curiosity. Oh, it's a burner account, 09. It is in the United States. I'll give him that. I'm actually shocked by that, but said, great, now change the birth certificate to your married name and get back to me, as if to say that was a requirement under the SAVE Act. And I know this is another leftist, and this is probably a burner account because he's, got a 17-year-old account. and he's got 300 followers, which if you're on this app at all on X, you have more hooker and prostitute and porn followers than that if you're at all active. So that's how you can tell, and I've talked about this before on social media, that's how you can tell it's a burner account. When it's 11 years old and they only have like 300 followers, when in that time you'd have at least 1,000 porn followers, that's how you know burner accounts. But the suggestion that you required or that you would need your birth certificate in your current name in order to vote in the SAVE Act is one of the most unbelievably fake things in the world. And
they went.
I try to leave on a good note, and I don't always do it, and I apologize for that. This was one of the funniest friggin' things I saw on the internet today.
Mr. President, Iran's foreign ministry says you're not telling the truth when it comes to productive conversations to end the war.
Well, they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem.
I know it's super childish. I know it's super juvenile, and I don't know who did that, but whoever does stuff like that, I absolutely applaud the fact that you have that much time in your hands. And of course, proving once again about bot farms and stuff like that, this person who has a very fake name that is just here to troll says, host is a Marxist who hates America. Be careful. Yes, I'm entirely Marxist. I have over a decade of shows being how pro-American constitutional I am and how I believe this is a republic. But yeah, you know, tell me again how I'm a Marxist, you pathetic loser. Go back to trolling gamers or something ridiculous. You're in over your head, folks. Speaking of in over our head, I am out of time. I appreciate you guys being here on the Edge of Liberty on the SHR Media Network. I'm here every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Not just me here at SHR Media. As a matter of fact, the rest of the shows are probably better. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast, you have Mission Ready Men with my boy Big E. Tuesday and Thursday nights, you have the bulbous one, the rotund one himself, BZ, and the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. That's 8 p.m. Pacific on the 11 on the East Coast. Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. You have my bud Jersey Joe with the Reaver of Common Sense show. Go back and rewatch tonight's show. It's on this channel. You can find it. It's worth the watch. It was pretty awesome. Joe did a good job tonight. And Friday and Saturday, you have Lyle Armstrong with Beer and Bullstein, and that's at 7 p.m. Pacific for on the East Coast. I also want to thank KLRN for simulcasting this show. Also, check out Listening Post Studios on YouTube. If you like D&D and stuff like that, some great stuff going on over there. And I didn't forget, on Sundays, he makes special appearances when he comes back from outer space. And that, of course, is the Lost Wanderer show right here on the SHR Media Network. SHRmedia.com if you want to get some swag, some T-shirts. The 250th birthday shirt for America is there. 250 reasons to read source documents. Shirts, mugs, all that's there. And also, please, if you do nothing else, tip the bartender by hitting the like button and subscribe. I'll see you Wednesday night. Have a great evening.